Hello, it is I, DrBossKey, and I see you. Whoa, I'm still upside down. Gravity check. All right. Enough playing around. Welcome back, everyone. It is I, DrBossKey, and today we are going to do something I am really excited about. So weeks and weeks ago, we reached out to Christian over at Lazy Devs Academy, and he was doing a very wonderful series of interviews with developers making games like Gunvein, Boghog, all these wonderful folks. And I've listened to all of them. And I saw that he also offers a little review of gameplay for your shmups and such, because he's doing a series on how to make a shmup, right? Basically, I reached out and I was like, hey, would you like to play a version of my game, Interstellar Sentinel, and give feedback? So in his own words, he said he thought it came out maybe a little harsher than expected. Not a problem. We've got thick skin, and this is how we learn. This is why we're doing this. But he said that he also had fun with it. So spoiler alert, fun, give me some. So why don't we hop on over to it? Customarily speaking, like we do normally. That's the wrong button. Let me see here. What's up, animations? Oh, that's not working either. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Now that we're over here. Let's see, what is this? Flip that back over there. All right. So always super important. If anyone takes time to play your game, always take the time, especially if they do video, to sit down, review the video, make your own video if you want, and then take notes, because in the moment, taking notes is going to help. And, the video reference is some of the best in terms of going through the process. So I'm going to stop here. I haven't watched this video yet. I'm super excited. I got my caffeine. So why don't we jump into it? Oh, wait a minute.
Okay, so I'm going to
There we go.
All right, Mr. DrBossKey. Mr. DrBossKey. Dr. Mr. Hi.
Hey, Christian.
So I'm about to play the game. I already started it to set it up. You asked for 1 hour of gameplay. I cannot promise I give you 1 hour.
Now, you know why? An hour is a long time. This is a good thing to know. Like, first of all, Interstellar Sentinel, well, it's a release game and it's polished and it's being polished and being worked through. The reality is an hour is a long time. And it's for Interstellar Sentinel, it's about Gradius 5 level, in terms of duration. Our levels are a little longer. We got 9 levels, technically 8 with a bonus level. So just keep that in mind. Shmup development is also, or Shmup gaming, Shmup playing is also, it's a lot. It's a lot of focus time that's needed. It's high intensity, right? Good shmups are. We're not making a Euro shmup necessarily in this case where we're sightseeing. You could do that if that's your thing. Not a big deal either. But you should keep that in mind when you're doing your own shmup development. So I totally get it. Any time you spend is great. So let's go on.
Let's go for half an hour, and we're gonna see how we feel after that.
Also, being trapped in a shitty game is a shitty experience.
I've set up this menu here, set up everything how I wanted it. Some things that I liked, some things that I didn't like. I'm just going to give you all my feedback.
Yeah, please do.
And some of them might sound harsh, and you have to deal with it.
No worries, all good.
Sorry, I think you want feedback, right?
Yes, absolutely. Give me.
If things sound mean, then be assured I do not mean them in a mean fashion. I just want to give my impressions, and maybe some of them are going to be off the mark, and that's for you to find out.
Appreciate it.
Right. So something I did like here is that there's a master volume. That's very important for people like me who do a lot of recording of stuff. To have a volume slider for everything in total, but then you also have the separate volume sliders. This is good stuff. I like that there's a join us on Discord QR code. That's nice. I don't know if because it's half transparent, I'm not sure if this will actually work.
It works.
Something that I noticed is that I did not quite like is when you go to graphics. First of all, it's a bit weird that you only can control this with a keyboard. I would have expected maybe to be able to use the mouse, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, no mouse.
Something that I did not like here is that there's an apply button, and there is no visual confirmation for applying. If I press this, nothing happens. I hear it, but if I don't have anything plugged in or something, it would be nice if there's something happened, or if applying went out of this thing. I don't know. It's weird. It doesn't make sense.
Confirmation on apply.
It's nice that there's enter and select in the corner. I think kind of like a confirmation of what you're supposed to press. That's good. Maybe adding cursor keys, but maybe that would be too much. Anyway, yeah, that's good. Good stuff. Something that I noticed is that
here we go.
The designer in me comes out. First of all, I'm not that hot about that font. It's okay. I don't know. It's good for. I think the font is good for like the logo. But for
it's not an easily readable font
written out somewhere is a little bit. The readability is a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it would be nice to have a different font that gels well with that futuristic style, but actually uses is more legible. But actually, the thing that I'm really bugged about is that so when you select a text field, it gets bigger. But the origin point of the scaling is at the beginning of the text, but the text is all centered. It should get wider in both directions, but it doesn't get wider in both directions. It gets wider in one direction a lot and just a little bit in the other direction. So like, you know, like this.
I know exactly what you're saying.
I guess it's like, it goes like this, you know?
That moves to the feedback's been given to the engine developer on that as well, so.
It's a bit weird. I would expect it to go to both ways, but maybe that's just me. Like if it goes to the side, then I would expect it all the text to be left aligned.
Yep. I can take a look and see. It was bugging me too because I think it's like this weird.
Otherwise, some technical
weird
issues that
centering.
I found is that, or technical. I don't know if it's an issue, but it's like this window scales dynamically, which is impressive. That it manages this, but I'm not sure what kind of framework you're using. But you can easily destroy your layout like this. So, for example, here I'm seeing the edges of the logo right now. And I don't know if that's supposed to be like this, and then sometimes, or like this. If I make it very narrow,
it only goes so far.
And very tall.
The engine does support Tate mode, which is nice.
See this anymore. I've cut off the join us on Discord text. Doing dynamic layouts is tough, even if it's kind of like a relatively simple.
I've done them professionally,
like this, so
and no, there's work to be done here.
This is the difficult thing to solve. Like having dynamically scaling to different aspect ratios is tough. I hope this doesn't affect the game.
No, but the UI, the front end has slightly different parameters in terms of the actual rendering of the game itself. So,
all right, enough faffing around.
It's a work in progress.
What do I think about the? I have to say, Interstellar Sentinel doesn't sound remarkable. It sounds a little bit generic. I couldn't even discern what kind of game it is. I mean, with a lot of arcade. Games, you know, the names are kind of like or something, but still, I think
it's not Batsu
I would
Gun
maybe
Rider.
go for something more memorable, or try for something more memorable. Some nice illustrations in the background. That's good. And it's nice that it's crawling. Like there's something happening actually. But
a lot of people like to sit on the title screen.
This is the way I want to play this game right now. This is how I set up everything, and you can tell that I'm cutting into the logo right now.
Yeah.
It would be the logo should always scale to the width of the thing, right?
It's on the list.
To some extent, right? Okay, let's get started. Ooh, that's nice. That's nice.
Oh, you like that?
Okay, different font.
I don't have control over that font right now.
Shoot this communication dialogue to start difficulty selection.
What is happening? Okay, can I move? I can move. Keyboard, top weapon, dump weapon, super weapon, bottom weapon, top weapon. Oh, I pressed the button. That's supposed to be the top weapon. I don't. What?
Let's see.
I genuinely don't know what happened.
He's pressing the dump weapon button.
Why is there a ring inside this difficulty thing? I pressed the lower button. Wait. Oh, my buttons don't correspond to those buttons.
Oh, look, he's using like a. It looks like a.
This is shooting for me. This is the upper button for me.
Yep. Okay.
But here's the left button. Okay. For some reason, I'm shooting at the.
I got a phone call. 1 second. And we're back. Yeah. So the fam called, and I'm gonna have dinner with the fam here in a little while. But we're gonna finish this video first. All right. Here we go.
At the same time, but also, I don't know.
Wait. Did I miss it?
That's creative.
Here we go.
This is the upper button for me, but here's the left button.
So I'm stepping back a little bit to make sure I didn't miss
anything.
anything.
Shooting at them. that's creative at the same time, but also I don't know.
I know exactly. It's a little janky, but it works, and it.
I don't know how I feel about using internet slang for this stuff. I don't know. It feels a little like normie feels a little bit
condescending,
derogative. So that's why I wouldn't maybe even select it, and casual even more so.
Well, casual is just an ascribed version for that.
No shame knocking off the rust. That's nice. Taste like fresh milk cookies.
It's lighthearted. Okay. It's tongue in cheek, and I guess anyone that's going to be offended by such things.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to deal with the fact that my main. So this is dumping. Yeah, my buttons are all. So can I reconfigure them here? No, I can't. See, now it would be a good moment to be able to reconfigure the controller.
I know. I'd love to be able to do that too.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to back menu. Maybe
it's on the list.
Controls, controller. See, now it looks all different. Now,
Well, the font is different.
What? I don't understand what is... What? What is 1A? What is 2... I don't know what any of these mean. Oh, wait. If I press something, it automatically reconfigures? Oh, no. Now I mess it up. Okay,
you can reset the default,
though. This is B. This is X. This is Y. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's using the typical conventions of Xbox controller for the most part. A, B, X, Y.
That's a nice little detail. I like that.
Shoot this communication dialogue.
Yeah, it's still wrong. Oh no! I thought it was double neck. No. Okay, wait. Good. So see now.
Tastes like fresh Shmup cookies.
Ooh, that's nice. Extra shit already? I haven't even started the game. Maybe a little too early to give me an extra shit. Ah, yes, give me the tutorial, baby. Oh, so wait. Now I'm not supposed to shoot on those anymore? Consistency, man. Consistency.
I know.
What's down there?
Oh, look, he's looking.
Ooh. I kind of like to be able to select the stuff with game mechanics. That's a nice detail.
Oh, he's gonna find it? Is he gonna find it?
The rockets look weird. They just like suddenly appear.
Ah, he missed it.
Oh, but it's kind of cool that there's like weapons coming out of the portals. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's cool. First impressions.
Yeah, okay, let's try the tutorial.
Woo! We're on it.
Captain's log. I'm placing the Veil Piercer starship on autopilot to get my hands dirty collecting monster soul bits.
How did you do the voiceovers? It sounds a little bit AI.
It is. 11 labs. And a lot of prompt.
It's weird that the rockets are going upwards. Why are they going upwards?
Fixed a new version.
Rapid fire. Great for dealing with low health enemies.
And yeah, I agree.
Why is this a different person talking to me now?
Power shot. This is great for
She's
dealing with
part of your
high health
posse.
enemies. You may notice
I don't know which one is
button
button.
Automatic weapon. Utility.
I'm very confused about the
Fires
button layout.
automatically when firing your top.
Wait, automatic?
Super
What?
weapon.
Oh, she's disappeared. What? What is this?
And makes you invulnerable.
Weapons down.
Try it out now.
Oh, that's nice. Oh man, I'm extremely overwhelmed right now. The problem is now that when I'm trying to shoot, I shoot away the things that tell me stuff, and now I jump over to the next thing before I understood the previous thing. That's a little bit oh man,
It's a tough one.
I don't know why is this happening. Okay, I guess it's the charge on the top left corner, right?
Your weapon set will downgrade to the previous weapon set. A weapon set is the top, mid, and bottom weapons. The DrBossKey that I know doesn't blow up starships too often.
Weapons down.
Well, while he is inside them.
Why
at
weapons
least.
down? What is why?
Mwahaha. Ha.
Oh yeah, that's definitely some generated audio. Why are the rocket shooting
Weapons down.
upwards?
It's already fixed.
Is that just like the shot?
It's because I had to bastardize the engine to get the orientation
Okay,
for
what am I
the wings
supposed
of
to
the
do now?
player character into the game.
Power-ups.
Okay.
I'm your designated power-up.
Yeah,
villager.
definitely
Your
generated.
butt
Not even.
is trouble.
That sounds like
Don't worry.
Google.
My magic
Well,
lets you fly
it's not
your
that
ship
bad,
into
but
the
yeah.
phase power-ups into the ship. Or you can send me a signal with your weapons to drop the power-ups in the world. Meow.
Okay.
Weapons up.
Should I? This is supposed to be a tutorial. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do.
You're doing it. You're doing exactly. You're shooting things and you're collecting power-ups.
I'm gonna shoot stuff, I guess.
Well, you're learning about Loki's right now, so
Thanks for the help, team. Let's take a look at our suit schematic.
Okay, yeah,
This
well,
is the only
I've played a shmup before. This is a little bit too late to tell me this. I think this should have been the first thing that you say.
maybe. It's not as flashy.
Back to plan A. Don't take damage from enemies. Got it?
Man, I feel like I need like this little diagram with the controller. I need that the entire game because there's just so many buttons to press.
There are 4 buttons. Yeah, absolutely.
Monster trophy medals. Screen clearing waves of enemies, achieving high-level ranks like the Royale Highness score from previous stages.
I don't know what that means. I don't care. I don't care what scoring. Completely not interested in scoring.
Secrets of the universe.
Was that scoring? If that was scoring, I'm not completely don't care.
Plastic collected. You guessed it. This will spawn more monsters.
That's why the tutorial's almost
Medals
over.
let you reach higher chain combos and are long.
Go away.
That's
Chain
what it's there
combo
for.
meter. Kill enemies before the meter drains to keep it going for maximum.
Okay,
time.
also do not care.
Yeah, a big part of it is you know, it's there for people that want to
Monster
discover it.
soul bits. Killing monsters will cause their monster soul bits.
And that's why the tutorial is about this length, because any longer
Okay,
it
that's
gets way
how
too
I
long.
charge my super
Any
weapon.
super weapon drives
See,
need to be
you
powered
picked
by
up some of that.
chain.
That's good.
You know what I mean? Wait a minute.
A news version
Are
where
you
we
paying
loop
to
into
do
the
real voiceovers, or is that the final thing? I mean, if it's a robot talking to you, that makes sense to some extent, right? All right, let's
I mean,
go.
it all costs money at the end of the day. It takes money to have voice actors and to do the development for it. So, and the majority of our budget spent on
Danger.
on art.
What is this? Why is there a screen floating there? Oh,
Let's see what
I'm
happens.
overwhelmed. Why? I got a second ship. What? Why did I activate a pacifist? I just want to shoot.
Well,
I didn't know that there would be pacifist. Why is that the first thing that I'm being offered? This pacifist mode. I've made a mistake. I would like to undo the pacifist mode.
well, you got 14 seconds to undo
no. I have to wait until I.
it. Does he see it? Nice. I think he's got some dexterity.
Okay. Great. I can now play the game. Okay, so these
Well,
are different weapons.
we're playing the game, but I hear you.
I don't know. Can I just pick up everything? I can't. What the heck?
Yeah, technically,
This is very confusing. Although this is a.
let me think about this. I mean, the reason why we designed 3 item plates is so you could kind of make the best choice. It's a very short cycle to make that choice. That's why hopefully most things are off the screen at that point. I could make it to where when you select one, the other 2 automatically get collected or they go away. But at the end of the day, I want you to be able to if you choose it, you don't like it, you can take another one and another one. So, all right, food for thought.
Nice shot, though.
Let me see what you say.
This is very confusing. Although this is a nice shot, though.
Oh yeah, he likes the
It
plasma
reminds me
octa.
of Raiden toothpaste.
Yeah, totally. It totally does.
Was that? I wasn't sure if that was a pickup or an enemy.
Yep. It reads as a pickup. It's a little both. It's a hybrid.
Hint? What hint?
That would be the thing
How do I
that
interact with
you
this?
weren't interested in from the tutorial. Yes, that's what hints are for. They're to give you the
By the way, the rockets are shooting downwards now? Why are they shooting downwards now?
different rockets.
Whoa, that's a big boss. Okay. The boss is not shooting in very complicated patterns.
No. It's the first
Okay.
mini boss of the
Oh,
game.
wait, I can just. There is no collision? Okay.
There is no
Goodbye,
question.
boss.
You do take damage though.
Bye bye. Okay. Oh, that's a nice shot. Am I doing damage to? Oh yeah, I'm doing damage.
Yeah. To make to where he flashes, which I can do now, it would be another big chunk of development. Not really worth it, unfortunately, because people got the
the shots
reinforcement with
are
the
really
health bar.
slow.
Wait, what was that?
Yeah, the shots are really slow.
Oh yeah, the shots are really slow. Yeah, absolutely. It's not.
Like I have all the time in the world to avoid them.
Yep. It's because you're playing harder shmups.
What is this? Why is there a countdown? This game is a lot. This game is a lot.
Yep. There's a lot of stuff going on. Well, that's the thing. Like players figure it out over time.
Weapons up.
Whoa, what are these shots? What the heck? Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I should use this other button.
There we go.
I'm using this
Whoa.
other button. Wait, does this shot even hurt me?
No, it doesn't.
It seems like I've been hit by this.
Oh, you got hit by the giant purple laser
but
there.
Actually, nothing happened. Can I get even hurt by anything? Wait, let me try to get hit. Oh, what? Am I invulnerable?
You are not.
Oh, there's an HP meter down there.
Yeah, I wish it was a meter.
Oh, that's tiny, dude. Wait.
I mean, I can make it bigger.
Oh, wow, there's like no visual feedback on whether I got hit at all.
There is. It's just the problem is it's flashing and the wings covered up a bit. Yeah, I totally know what you're saying. HP and lives increase size. We can do that. It does make it hard to see.
It's just a sound effect, right?
Weapons down.
Let me try to get hit. Yeah, there's just no feedback on getting hit. That's a big yikes. Wait, was that my shot or? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, the rockets are my shot. Okay, good.
Yep. Yeah, this is super good. This is so good watching someone play for the first time.
Shooting down.
And he's got a lot of experience playing shmups, a lot of different shmups. So not a hardcore on the crazy high skill
Monster
side,
trophy.
which is perfect for
Ooh,
this.
A new enemy, nice. Ooh, yeah.
Battle damage. Nice, he took him out. You see we're layering up the enemy types here. Just enough to kind of get them to change it up a little bit. Second time he's encountered the Sea Satan, of course. Which is super cool.
Like stylistically, this game is really hitting. It's like sitting at a piano and hitting all of the keys, you know.
Yeah.
It's like we have like these monsters here, and these look like demons or something. But then you have like these cats that explode in hearts. Mm-hmm. I don't know. What is that?
It's got the
okay.
It's got that that old school Contra weird like flavor to it. The R-Type side of that too. There's a lot of inspiration there.
Weapons up.
Oh no, I really hate this weapon. This little.
That's why you have a weapon down.
Drawing thing. It just doesn't go anywhere. It just stays there.
Oh, they're like landmines. But I get it. I totally get it. That's why there's a lot of weapons in the game. People can choose.
I've been exclusive using one button throughout this game. Maybe I should use another button. Okay, yeah, that's good.
Weapons down.
Why is weapons down? I don't understand. Oh! Okay, now we're having some patterns here. That's nice. Can I? Let's press some buttons. Ooh, what's this? Why though? Why did this power appear in this portal?
Weapons up.
He's also playing with a D-pad on an ancient controller. It's so cool. I'm glad it's supported.
Okay, I don't know how to shoot this guy. I mean, I can stay here forever.
You can. It's like a bullet hell puzzling.
Let's press some buttons.
Yeah.
Wait, I can use this, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. This is a bit of a blind spot issue, I feel. The fact that I can just stay here, but also the screen's so saturated with bullets, it's kind of hard for me to do anything here now.
Very interesting. This is so valuable.
It's kind of we're at a stalemate right now. Let me drink a bit of a tea here.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a coffee with you.
How
It's
shall I
navigatable.
approach this problem?
I could plug these holes, and I thought about it, but
Yeah.
bullet hell is also
there
about finding
boss time
spots.
out? Wait, I'm not getting hit. Oh, I'm getting hit. There is a bit of a sparks.
I wonder if I can increase the sparks on the. Oh, that's the
So
collision
can we-
damage.
Can we hit somebody?
Fire mantle.
Okay. Now where's this top? Okay, yeah, we can just do this.
Weapons down.
Yeah, just get wrecked.
Man, that second one.
I
This-
have really no idea why the weapons change. I don't feel like I picked up anything.
There was a power up there. Oh well, he's still figuring out the weapon system, which I totally get. He's trying.
What is this shield? Why is there a shield appearing? That's in rhythm to the music? Is that just like a visual thing? What is this? Why is this ring? What is happening? Oh no!
Use the top
This
weapon.
game is a fever dream. I can just stay here, right? A rank. If not, that's not an S rank. I don't Oh, so the cats are Lockies. Okay. C rank.
And if you would have got past this mode, it would have been a D rank.
Why can I spawn power-ups? I don't understand.
Weapons down.
Why is
Weapons down.
is it weapons down when I pick it up?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That makes no sense to me.
Weapons down.
Wait, I just can.
Weapons down.
I can just by pressing this button, I can change the weapon I'm shooting.
Weapons
You can go
down.
backwards.
Weapons down.
And it's
Wait.
good he's exploring it, right?
Weapons down.
I'm just basically power. I don't understand. Chain combo multiplier 3, medals 2, super weapon. How do I proceed here, by the way?
Yeah, good question.
Oh, there. That's the thing I have to. Dude, screen readability.
Yep, I know. There's a bit of hackery that's in the whole thing, so.
Let me put down some notes. Okay.
That's because you tabbed out.
Okay. Let's go. Forest. I don't know which button to press. Oh yeah, that's the power down.
Weapons down.
Why is it weapons down? So wait, so these missiles are homing missiles, but when there's nothing on the screen, they just go upwards?
Fixed.
Shouldn't they just go straight?
Yeah.
Weapons
It's been bugging me too. It's going to be the next version of the game.
Is that a programming issue?
It is. Now, here we go. First.
What is this? I don't know what this is. I'm shooting it and it doesn't do anything. Okay,
That's
it's
good.
Just, the animation is independent of me. Okay, is that a hint? I don't know what it is. Okay, whatever. How do I? Which button to press? Oh gosh, I pressed the button that spawns the power up again. I think the way I understand it now is that when I level up my shot, I can press a button to turn the shot, to power down the shot to charge my super weapon.
There you go.
It's my
Good theory.
my
Exactly
made
right.
up explanation. That's my.
Yep.
Whoa, there's a hand grabbing me now. That's cool. Yeah, I got hit there. I know that because I know the sound effect now.
He's building up a language.
Otherwise,
Games are all about rules stacked on top of each other. What you are playing with, interacting
It's
with.
kind of hard to see what is collidable right now or not. Like the tree looks like it's part of the tree, so it might be collidable, but it's not. Ooh man, that hand just disappeared into 3 particles. That gigantic hand just like poofed out of existence.
I think I need to take a look at that again.
Oh, this is a nice challenge though. I like big sprites and I cannot lie.
Nah, me too.
And it's kind of nice to have like a boss grabbing you. That's always feels nice and dramatic.
He's still puzzling out the lost soul that's tripping him out.
Weapons up.
Interesting, they're out pushing forward.
Oh! Wait, I didn't get hit by this?
Wait a minute, 1 second. I take a note. Dread, Musk, weapon, sound effects. I need to do another pass there. Sound effects, do an updated pass. His eye stalks are just straight. Let's take a look. What happened? So Dread Musk comes in.
Wait, I don't.
Wait. So what do you do?
Oh!
Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
I didn't get hit by this?
No, because, yeah, it's close.
That's a nice snail.
The DrBossKey is a beast.
Weapons up.
Weapons up. I got hit there, but I don't know. I don't know how to do that snail, so I don't care. Like the amount of
close.
lives you have technically is ridiculous because like 5 lives, and each life has multiple HPs. Like I can get hit for days.
It's a resource thing. It's a welcoming shmup. So, I mean, it's easy enough. Well, it will be easy enough for me once I have global variables to make it a traditional harder shmup for people that want that.
How do I? Oh yeah, let's see this.
He's getting used to his buttons.
Weapons up.
Wait, I want to check something. Can I? If I change the screen, will it? Oh, I see. Now the aspect ratio actually. There is a letterboxing to make sure that the aspect ratio stays. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's
I like the dev brain. Yeah, I went through the same thing.
A+.
I think it restarted the level music too.
Weapons up.
Okay, so the P upgrades my weapon, and then I guess I can then get it out again to get my super weapon charged. I think. Can I shoot the super weapon? I cannot. What if I wait? So now I can do weapons down.
Weapons down.
Oh wait, but super weapon is not changed. Not. Why would I weapons down then? I don't know.
So because some people, and this is a new
this
feature, as in
did nothing to my
in the
super
last
weapon
few
charge.
weeks we
Okay.
put this game and put it in. So I haven't seen a lot of people play with it. He's one of the first, aside from people that know.
Okay. I think everything homes. Every homing shot goes upwards. I thought, but no, the statue just came out from the sky. What is the statue doing in the forest?
It's gatekeeping. Ah, look, he's got his puzzling on. He's learning the language. Those bat bullets take up shots. So you're trying to figure out how to do
These
damage.
are very slow bullets.
They are very slow bullets.
Bat bullets. Wait, I'm not doing any damage because they're in the way, right?
That's
So I
right,
have
see?
to go out of my. Wait, what?
As designed.
Let's just like blast her.
That's what the super's there for.
It's weird that the shots like they just disappear. They just like poof out of existence when they hit something.
I think he doesn't see the hit sprites. They're not huge, but they're there on impact. Probably because they're so big. Real quick, let's see here. Bullets, impact, sprites. Should they be bigger to convey bullet destruction? All right, cool. All right, so wait a minute, what happened here? Okay, so comes in, he's shooting Reapers here, just double checking.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So these kinds of shots are fun, but I think if there's like a safe spot, you should challenge the player to actually move. I don't have to move right now. I just can stay here and do nothing because I know that the shot always comes out the same way and doesn't challenge me anyway to move my position. I think when you're designing a challenge, you have to come up with the reasons why the player should always keep moving. So you can make like these crazy bullet patterns, but if they're always the same and always very
notice how he's moving now.
the player doesn't actually have to move at all to avoid them, and that's. I mean, it's fun to, I guess, to kind of like find the safe spot, but I think the idea of this arcade thing is to always keep the player under pressure.
Yep.
Which means forcing them to keep moving always.
Yeah, absolutely.
One simple solution is to add a second bullet emitter somewhere that shoots aimed bullets at you.
Yep.
While this is happening, so that way you always have to keep moving, or you rotate that big pattern, so you kind of have to keep moving in order to stay in the lane.
Yep. Yeah, all good advice and wisdom there.
It's kind of like these basic ideas of all these patterns. And you see this in a lot of shmups, in a lot of like bullet hell shmups, like these rotating labyrinths that you have to keep following, so you, in order to stay in the lane. What are these statues doing in the forest? I don't get it.
They're being summoned by a demonic, evil being
shit.
presence.
Ah!
He took a little damage. Boss is living the dream.
Oh, well, that came out of nowhere.
That's weird. Oh, interesting.
Okay, I see now those shadows.
Huh. Oh, the AoE didn't appear there. I don't know why.
Okay, so it's always the same. So if I stay here, I'm good. Oh no, it's not. It's not. Well, call me impressed. Wait, let's press that button. We haven't pressed that button in a while. Oh wait, that's the wrong button. Which button to press? See, this was supposed to be like the do a lot of damage button, but that doesn't actually seem like it's doing a lot of damage. I don't know.
It does 10 times more damage than the top button, but yeah.
Wow. What's the collision box on these? So wait, so the big circle doesn't actually hurt you, only a small circle hurts you? Yeah, okay, wow, crazy. Very generous hitbox.
Very, again, be nice to the player in this case. It's hard enough to see everything.
No slowdown,
And he is taking damage.
Is there a slowdown? No.
Weapons down.
He's looking for a Danmaku slowdown button. Which is, I'm
So many
thinking about
buttons
putting that
and
in.
no slowdown.
I might make the bottom weapon a slowdown button.
This is good layout.
I'm considering
See,
it still.
This is what I'm looking for. This should have been phase 1.
Wow.
Weapons down. Weapons down.
I don't understand the weapons down. What the heck? Okay, I'm gonna try one more level. I'm gonna try the tutorial again. I got nothing. It's gonna be rank A. D. I'm fabulous, and you know it.
You're determined. Determined!
Okay. Screevous Mountain. What is this high score thing? I don't.
Weapons up.
Weapons up. Does this game have... Oh yeah, this game has environmental hazard. Okay, yeah. It just doesn't stop you.
No.
You will get hurt, but it doesn't stop you. Which, wow. Oh, that came out of nowhere.
Weapons up. Weapons up.
Did that diamond just change direction?
It did. He's talking about the lost soul lanterns there. He's really, look, he's in.
I am a little disappointed to see those enemies here again, because I've seen them in like the cats and everything. It was a bit weird. These are the same enemies over and over again. I would have expected a little bit more variation on the enemies. I mean, these are new, right? I think these are new.
The head toss enemies are new.
But the cats, like the Lokis, I guess.
Well, the cats aren't enemies. The cats are your power-up givers.
The flying skeleton guys are kind of repetitive. This guy on the ground is funny.
Yeah, he's
what
skelly
is
scooching.
What is his business? Hey, homing diamonds. This level has very different vibe to it. I like that. This is feels more R-Type-y.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, I got hit. I got hit.
Bullet leading with the Soulblight Reapers there. Purposely done from off screen to give you a little bit more anticipation where they're coming from and to put some pressure up on the player.
Oh, I also like the crab enemies because they disappear in a good way.
Cool.
Also, those pixies are also have a really nice death animation. These are good and good death animations.
Nice. They are quite silly.
Yeah. These skeletons they disappear in this nice little cloud of skeletons. That's nice.
Weapons up.
What? Oh, that's okay. Wait, extra ship, does that mean extra life?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it. Oh, okay. What? I cannot shoot it. Oh no! I activated pacifist mode. Oh no! I don't like that. Yeah, let me die. Oh, no, dying doesn't disable the pacifist mode.
You're locked in.
What the heck?
If I had the ability to script it, I probably would, but.
Why do the numbers blend into each other on the countdown? What's that? Wait, so I can pick up everything now? Oh, that's weird. It's so weird. Oh, I guess that's are the power-ups like the rewards for pacifist mode? You
They
see,
are.
those skeletons have really nice, like, oh wait, no, these are just disappear. No, the real skeleton disappears like in this. Yeah, these two, like in this little gore splash.
Weapons down.
Oh no, that's my last life, huh?
I think I already adjusted the impact effects on that weapon set.
Weapons up.
This is just like too much.
Nice. Picked up the guy in the back left corner.
Scars and Dark Wellspring Guardian. Whoa! Okay, wait, what was that? Is that a bullet? What's this cloud? I can just stay here. Oh no, he's moving. Okay.
Here we go.
Wait! Okay.
Weapons up. Weapons up.
I have no idea what's happening. It's a fever dream. Oh, I got hit. That's it? We're game over. What happens if I press yes? Oh, just continue right away. No repercussions. Can you just continue forever?
Lose your score. Oh, there's finite continues. Just having a hard time finding that bottom weapon button. Oh boy, here comes the tail whip in the face. Nice, he got out of the way.
Okay.
Weapons up.
Titan. Let's see here. Level 3. Scars and Titan up time bonus reward. All right.
Oh, that was level already? That felt so much shorter than the other level.
He was really engaged with the level because of the environmental hazards. It put him into a place where he really enjoyed it.
One more.
I saw it.
Oh no, every stage has a pacifist mode. The pacifist mode is the...
You will come.
What's
You will
this,
come to the
pumpkins.
pacifist mode. Everyone comes full circle on it at some point.
What's his name? The sketch with Saturday Night Live as Pumpkins guy. Why did you go all out on pacifist mode?
Holistic design.
Monster trophy. See, these enemies, they look really cheap because the animations just 3-4 frames. It feels it's very few frames and very high resolution sprite. It should be the other way around. It should be low resolution sprites, very high amount of frames. That looks better generally.
Oh. It also is.
The higher the resolution, the more effort you need to put into, because you need to keep up with the frame rate as well, like to keep the frame rate. If you pay for the high resolution of sprites with a lower amount of frames, that's a bad payoff, I think.
It's a fair opinion.
Man, I just confused where my hitbox is. Ooh. Yeah, I'm getting hit all the time now. Ooh, this is just... Oh, this is very awkward to dodge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's see here. So, yeah, I think... I mean, I hear what he's saying when it comes to animations. I think one of the styles that we went for... I mean, first of all, frames of animation are expensive. You're drawing your image each time, and you can reduce the cost of that by having less pixels. And that's why a lot of developers go the pixel art route. But... there's and pixel art can be fantastic. I mean, I've grown up with pixel art, and I love it. But I also I wanted to achieve a different visual style with the game, but I wanted to kind of throw back to like this is regardless of the resolution of the sprites themselves, right? Like a lot of the animation style here harkens back to like Street Fighter 2, in that you look at the background guys and they're doing this, right? They basically have just a few, because they're background sprites, and so I kind of embodied some of that into the world of the game. The enemies don't need a ton of smooth animation. They just need some animation, and because with the engine in particular, the animations aren't synced up to their attacks. Less, like having more animation frames just means that I would have more opportunities for attacks that wouldn't appear. And it's maybe not a big deal, but there were conscious choices there. So I can appreciate it though. Thank you.
Weapons down.
Did I introduce new enemies in this level? Oh yeah, I did.
I still don't understand the button layout.
Takes a while to get used to it. And 4 buttons at this point. See if he does it.
The pixies. Monster trophy. Are there any aim shots in this game? I wonder.
Oh, there are. Those would be the diamonds you're seeing, and certain boss attacks.
Let me see if I go
And
here. Do the aim
technically,
shots
the
shoot at me?
Robonoids do actually aim at you, but they're not. It's not very high. Also, the undead dragons.
That's a hell of a pattern. Ooh, now we have aim shots. Ooh, nice. I like it.
And that's because you actually got all the monster trophies.
Was so short. Wait, these are homing shots? That's cheap. That's lame. See, homing shots are bad form.
No, homing shots are great. They make you move.
Aim shots are good. Homing shots, not good.
These are lassoing shots.
If you can't hit the player with an aim shot, then do better. What is this? What's this count?
Oh, almost got it. He's starting to figure it out, piecing it together.
There's not a minute that goes by when I'm not completely confused by something that is on the screen. Oh, it's another boss fight. Oh, giant foot! I like it. I'm fighting the knee.
You are fighting the knee, yes.
Or the groin? Is that the groin?
It turns out that when you imagine fighting a kaiju version of a boss, you wind up fighting things like a torso and a knee. So I didn't design it that way, but it was the outcome of the vision. He's got to switch to that bottom weapon at some point.
Oh, right. I forgot that this was an obstacle. Yeah, let's finish this boss fight. Oh, wait, so... I still don't understand this weapon system. It has not gotten better. Okay. Oh, okay, yeah. It's actually this hammer is a fun boss fight. Oh, another pixie.
And it's just proof that you can teach this stuff in a tutorial, and it's almost everything you learned, he's still learning, because it's a lot of with game development. It comes down to
this is good.
Pattern recognition, right? And muscle memory and understanding each of the pieces and how they come together to solve the problems.
Can I do a super weapon?
Well, you could.
No, I can't. Why? Why though?
Because your super weapon is full.
Should be able to do a super weapon way more often than I'm actually able to. Oh, online. Okay, let's go.
Ooh, some good dodging there for a minute there.
Easy peasy. Easy game.
Weapons up.
That felt a bit unfair. Yeah, what am I supposed to do here? Like, okay, I'm now in this pattern. How do I get out of this pattern?
Weapons up.
Good question. He's learning.
What are these rings? You know what I would love to have? I would love to have like a pause function that lets me hover over elements. Like pause, click on something and explain to me what this is. I need something like this. I need some kind of like what's the paradox? The strategy game, like, you know, where you can hover mouse over everything and it does like a pop up and explains you, well, this is the system. Oh, I pressed the wrong button, but it was the right button. This is a really silly pattern right now. Like always catching me in like this little bubble, and there's like no way to get out. Like that's what is this? What is this? It's late. See, catching players in a bubble is cool, but you should give players like a way to approach a certain challenge in different ways. And like now it's like, okay, I'm just here now. I don't know.
He's got his game development hat on. I see it.
It kind of extends as well if I'm far away.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, so it does extend. Weird. What is this? I don't
Yeah.
understand this.
It's an interesting thing I discovered. I personally enjoy it. I need more attacks like it. But yeah, it's a weird pattern.
So it's point. What is happening? Oh.
Weapons down. Weapons down.
I don't understand what it does. I don't know. Why is it weapons? Okay, super weapon ready. Let's go. Why is it weapons down? I don't understand. I'm pressing the wrong button. This is such a chaos.
And this is why a lot of shooters, a lot of shmups, single button, maybe two. And the weapons down button adds a whole new button that people wanted. But, 4 buttons is a lot to, like, start to learn.
Yeah,
especially
this is not a
less
fun
than 30
pattern
minutes.
at all. It's just like endless repeating. And there's like nothing, like, what am I, like, it's always the same thing. This boss fight just takes a long, like, I'm not doing any damage even. Like, wait, so how do I even do damage here? I'm not doing any damage.
Weapons down.
You're doing damage.
Right? That percentage bar is not moving at all. There is such a thing as overstaying your welcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
brutal to see.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm not interested in continuing anymore. Let me check out this tutorial. Maybe
Oof.
I will understand how the system works then.
Interstellar Sentinel.
that was painful to see.
Shoot this communication.
But, it's interesting from the game development perspective because you have more distractions as a developer because you're thinking about the design and how the game is progressing and how the systems work together. But on the flip side, you're also more distracted. So, there I'm throwing supers at him at the end. I'm trying to get the boss fight to be over. But he's progressing through it. It's not super convenient. Look, you can kill that boss. You can kill that boss 5 minutes earlier type of thing. So I need to think about I also don't want to add a bunch of in content to the boss fight, but I need to think about it a little bit. Let's see here. Boss fight. Because simply changing the patterns and whatnot at the end isn't the solution. And it's not, and the thing is that it's not necessarily the changing of the boss health as well. Think on the end game. I avoided also timing out bosses. I would have timed that boss fight out with him about 5 minutes earlier, just given where he's at. That might be a thing too, but that doesn't feel super satisfying. I'd rather people basically slog through it a little bit to figure out how to get better at the boss fights. The end of the fight, should it time out? Change pattern variants? I don't know. Think on it. It's also really interesting to see that the weapon dump button feature is so new, because the reason why it's in there now is because players wanted to not necessarily always, they would get a weapon set and would be something doesn't work for their style, or it puts them in the short range weapon and it's hard to get approach the bosses because short range weapons take a lot more skill to use. They do a lot more damage, but it's not necessarily a comfortable play style for people. So food for thought. I know I need to think on it a little bit. Super helpful though.
Dialogue to start difficulty selection.
Because it makes it more
Okay,
clunky.
So let's see. So this is top weapon, which is the top button, which makes sense. See, okay, just like naming things, right? This is the main shot. Why is it called the top weapon? Why is it not called the main shot? Just like to give players some guidance, you know, just communicate, you know, here's your basics and here's the more advanced, just like structuring stuff for players. When I see top, bottom, super, and dump, these all things seem equal to me. Like the hierarchy of things is the same. So maybe structuring things like this is the main weapon, this is the heavy weapon, you know, something like to give us idea of what's happening. So yeah, this is supposed.
I already have a note on that as well. It's super good feedback. So a lot of times with design, what happens, right, is that as you design something, you iterate on it and then you change your design. So one of the things that has changed for us, and you can see it here, and I already had a note about this too, right? So this is your automatic weapon. You can see me here. But now, since this is the most top weapon that happens for the player, that's not correct anymore. It used to be in the old design of the game that your top weapon was truly your top weapon and was up here, was back with the ship design, and your bottom weapon was the bottom. And now really your top weapon is really your mid weapon, but that's not quite right. So I think what he's saying here, right, which is your shot type, right? So I can be like, I could better say it's your rapid shot or your main, it's not a main weapon. It's your rapid shot and it's your heavy shot, right? Or it's your fast shot and it's your heavy shot, right? Maybe that might be the thing too. But I need to go back through and then adjust the conveyance of the tutorial, because, you know, voice lines and text and all that too. So design is iteration, but, I've been meaning to change that. So I needed to take a note here. So, weapon type, weapon positions, change naming to, rapid fire, heavy shot, an auto weapon. The other one that's brand new is the dump weapon, right? Which is, you know, essentially you poop out your power up and then it downgrades all of your current weapons. So I don't know if I have a better name for that, but we'll see if he has anything here. So I'm still thinking about it.
This will be the main shot. I'm not sure why there is stuff happening upstairs, like in this upper portal, but yeah, this seems to be like the main weapon. This is dump weapon. This is the thing that I was confused about. You can apparently power down your weapon to get some power up, but what does the power up do? It didn't feel like that did anything. And then the bottom weapon seems to be like the one that is doing a lot of damage, apparently, but it didn't feel like it did a lot of damage. It's also very like, the range is very low.
Depends on the weapon type, but yeah.
Jesus, on casually give you 30 lives.
Contra.
No.
And here's the thing is
When you have to give players 30 lives, maybe it's time to reevaluate.
no, I don't know about that.
Shmup cookies.
Why am I getting... Oh, is that the lives I've gotten? Is that the 7 lives you get? You get at the beginning? Is that the idea?
That is correct.
Okay, let's find out the tutorial.
I'm placing the Veil Piercer starship on autopilot to get my hands dirty collecting monster soul bits.
Oh, that's me. So
now-
see, weird. Previously I had to shoot at the message box. Now I'm supposed to fly over the message box. Inconsistencies.
I do break the wall. I
It
break.
seems like I cannot rely on anything I learned because it always changes constantly.
There are a few
This is
cases.
good that I have this.
Weapon system. Top weapon, rapid fire. Great for dealing with low health enemies.
Why not main weapon? Why top weapon?
Fair point.
Bottom weapon, power shot. This is great for dealing with high
That's
health
the wrong
enemies.
button.
Down.
You may notice how much faster this automatic weapon. Utility. Fires automatically when firing your top or bottom weapon.
Oh, so that's the thing. See, it doesn't tell me like it tells me that this exists, but I don't know what it's talking about. Now it should maybe like point to something, you know, like point to that upper portal. But also I don't know what
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
automatic weapon is right now. Like okay, right now it actually doesn't. I don't have any. Oh, there's the missiles, I guess, right? That's the thing. There's text box. I don't know what's. I didn't know what it was referring
Cancels
to.
enemy bullets and
Yep.
makes you
That's a good point.
invulnerable.
Okay,
Let's see here. Automatic weapon. Bring up helper graphic. Possibly. What is this? So bring up helper graph. Possibly. Vulnerability point later style during tutorial helper. Okay, yeah, that's a fair point.
super weapon is this. Try it now. I try it now.
No,
It doesn't-
super weapon is not that.
I have to pick this up, I guess.
Yep.
Now I can try it. No.
What happened?
Wait.
Did I change the volume? What happened here?
Wrong button.
There we go.
Wrong button. Because the mapping is wrong.
Super weapon online. Super weapon online.
Okay, the S is the super weapon.
If you're defeated, your weapon set will downgrade to the previous weapon set. A weapon set is the top, mid, and bottom weapons. The DrBossKey that I know doesn't blow up starships too often. Well, while he is inside them, at least. Muahaha. Ha.
That joke doesn't land. So it's telling me about how my weapons are being downgraded. I don't see an indicator for what level my weapons are currently at. Like there's, I don't see any indicator that references weapon level. So it's very confusing for me to be learning about weapon levels.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Yeah, I don't have the ability to.
Also,
to show that,
again, I have no
unfortunately.
information how to continue. I am assuming I have to shoot this down. Yeah.
Let's see here. I mean, this is mostly so. Once I have global variables, I could do things like fetch the weapon set name and show you where you're at with your weapon sets. That would be awesome. But that's going to be a year out. So, but I can make a note to add that to my global variable side. Global variables, weapon set current name displayed. That would be dope. Let's see, and yeah, because I could script that pretty easily. Write this up for the global variable use cases. Man, I'm creating all kinds of work. All right, here we go.
There we go. What was
Power up.
that?
I'm your
Same amount of time.
power-up giver to keep your butt out of trouble. Don't worry.
Oh, so
My
it's referring to
magic
the
lets you fly
cats.
your ship
They're
and
giving
put
power-ups.
those power-ups into the ship. Or you can send me a signal with your weapons to drop the power-ups in the world. Meow.
Okay, so the Lokis, if I shoot it down, I will give power ups. But what are these cogs? What do they do? They don't give me. Oh, they give me health points. Is that the idea? That little arrow didn't do its job.
Yeah, I already wrote that up, but I mean about the size. Let's see here. HP arrow indicator. Make it bigger to attract the player's attention. But I mean, look, this is the good stuff. Is that all this is relatively minor? Yes, it gets confusing, but at the end of the day, if you play the game because you like it, even though it's a little bit confusing, and we can improve conveyance, you're still taking in the information and it's building up, right? Like you want to have great conveyance, you know, and make it be more. Look at his face. It's such a good face right now. All right, here we go. But the point being is that players will forgive things that are not super easy to understand if they're having fun playing the game. Now, there's an argument you said that if all the little things that are hard to understand stack up and it makes it frustrating to the point where we're going to play anymore, which we saw with him playing at the final boss there are a lot of reasons why he got to the point where he's at there. Then, you know, players aren't going to give the game more time to play because it's too confusing, right? So as designers, you want to improve as much as you can the conveyance. You know, it's not a one size fits all, unfortunately. And the more complex a game gets, the harder it is to distill things down. This is like the 12th version of my tutorial, right? Like, and even then it's a tiny bit alongside, and many people don't take a lot of stuff away. So it's really cool to see him come back to the tutorial to better understand now that he's played the game a little bit, starting to warm up, and then try to condense a rule set into something that makes it easier for him to understand. All right.
Okay, wait, so I can get more health points? No, wait, I picked it up and I didn't get any health points.
Mm-hmm.
Weapons up.
Okay, so this gives me weapons up.
Weapons
But again,
up.
no indicator for how many weapons
Weapons up.
I have right now.
Yeah, that would be great if I could do that.
Thanks for the help, team.
Okay,
Let's take a look
Okay,
at
so
this schematic.
screen I would have loved to
This is
see
the only
way
vulnerability
earlier.
in the suit. Of course, it's the super weapon reactor core. Weapons that I am basically strapped to. Well, back to plan A. Don't take damage.
Still
from
don't
it.
understand
Got it.
why dumping weapons would be a good thing. Like, yeah, this will dump
Weapons
it.
down. Weapons down.
I don't know.
Then to
Monster
answer the
trophy
question?
medals. Screen clearing waves of enemies, achieving high level rank.
I mean, to answer the question is, you know, the reason why you can dump a weapon is so you can stay on your weapon type that you prefer. You know, a lot of times players were feeling they were trapped, and because you can die to downgrade your weapons to a previous set, players are starting to feel like they would just rather die. And maybe there's some other things with how many lives you got, et cetera, but they were feeling like that was the best solution to maintain their weapons. A play style that is very common with Shmup players, myself included, for a long time. And when I built this game, I challenged my own gameplay habits. So a type of Shmup player will find a weapon set that they like. Generally, this is more of like, you know, this more when players come first to the Shmups, a lot Shmup genre or the game that they're playing, they will find weapons that they feel really comfortable with, or they like, whatever the reason for it. They're maybe the best or the most strong, doesn't matter. But the idea is that then they want to stay with that weapon. They want to keep it. You know, they want to keep that laser or that shot type or whatever it may be. Or in the case where you can choose ships and things like that, they want to find the ship that they like the most with that type and play with that, right? And so I was the same way, playing like Life Force, Gradius, you know, like, oh, I'm going to go with Ripple, I'm going to go with Laser, or I'm going to Spread, right? Or Short Range, or Einhander, like, oh, I'm going to go with this particular weapon type, right? Or these missiles. So for me in the game, one of the things that I wanted to do to make it interesting for me is that there are a lot of weapons in the game. There's 57-ish types of weapons, and they're in sets. And part of the core game loop is that you're constantly upgrading your weapons. And weapons, for the most part, because there's 19 weapon sets, they're not 19 times more powerful. Like, it's very hard to balance something like that. So they are more powerful, but they're also more powerful in terms of utility. So they're not 19 times more powerful, but their utility, a spread shot, has more bullets on the screen for you, so they can attack more enemies. So they're good for popcorns, et cetera, like that, right? So, and I really wanted to have the core concept of the game is when you're flowing, you're constantly very, very rapidly changing through weapons. And it turns out that players, and the play style, like I don't force players to upgrade weapons. I don't put them in places where you have to go through. I made some good changes there. But it turns out that, you know, the play style is still there. People want to stay on their own weapon. So now a player can play and make those choices and stay on a certain weapon set that they like, or they can downgrade through weapons to find the weapon type that would work really well for this boss encounter or this experience. So, yeah, so good stuff. All right.
Ranks like the Royale Highness score from previous stages will summon the most powerful monster trophy enemies and will lead you to the secrets of the universe. You know, see it, blast it, collect it.
I don't understand.
I'd love to know
You guessed it.
what he
This
doesn't
will
understand
spawn
about it.
more
It's a tough
monsters.
system, so.
Metals let you reach higher chain combos and are lost on deck.
Yeah.
Chain combo meter.
Okay, these are just like score stuff, and I'm not interested in score stuff, so.
Yeah,
Monster soul bits. Killing monsters
for the
will
monster
cost more
trophies.
monster soul bits.
hopefully he'll
Green
unpack that
glowing
at some point.
goodies.
Yeah,
Fill your super
it
weapon.
feels like this would be more basic. Like, this should be maybe explained when we're explaining
what I mean?
the super weapon, right?
Wait a
Like,
minute.
it's weird that we're now at the end of the tutorial and now we're explaining these power-ups. These seems to be like the most basic power-ups. Should I just start with them and then do the monster
Yeah, possibly.
medals later? Weird. Just like weird arrangement of stuff. Okay. Just like to give you my let me pull this up again. There we go. Let me write some things down.
Ooh, we're getting notes. Yay!
Okay, so broadly speaking, my impression is that this is a visually incredibly overwhelming game. Like, just a lot of stuff happening, and even after taking my time and getting into it, I still don't understand half of the things that this game has thrown at me. I understood some of them. I feel like arcade shmup kind of thing should be like you don't have to read it up. It should be obvious what's happening. So like just like having to study the tutorial to understand it and still not understanding is, I think that means the tutorial needs work or the systems need to be severely simplified. There's a lot of information missing that I would love to have, or they're very unassuming, and a lot of stuff that I shouldn't care about is like in my face. So for example, the fact that like almost the first thing that happens is like the
Pacifist mode.
pacifism challenge is to me just like mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing that the first thing that I did in this game is not allowing me to shoot. It's like, what? Or that there's like a button to power down on the controller. Like, why would you give me this ability? And I still don't understand why. It pops up some power up, I pick up the power up, nothing happens. I don't know. Why would you do that? Yeah, there's just like things I just don't understand. And there is a concept, I talked about, I think in my tutorials about this, which I think is really useful. I keep coming back to it. This concept, like there's like the different rules of animation, of how you do animation.
Seen it.
By Disney. They established like 13 rules of animation, the principles of animation.
Yep.
And one of the principles of animation, and they're wild. You know, some of these are very specific things, like this is the way things should move and so forth. But some of them are conceptual. And so some of the conceptual insights are incredible, and I think they can be applied to a lot of things in your life. And one of those things, you should look it up. Principles animation staging. I think this applies very much to this game. So the idea of staging is that you can animate a lot of things on the screen, but your audience can only look at one thing. So when lots of things are happening on the screen and you don't control where your audience is looking, there will miss obvious things that are happening all the time because they're completely distracted all the time with stuff that they shouldn't be looking at. So staging means that you decide what's important, what's the most important thing that you try and communicate, and you move the distractions aside. So the thing that you want to tell is on the stage, like it's in the middle of the stage, it's staged, it's presented to the audience. Like, I understand, this person slipped on a banana peel. and not like, oh, but there's also, some flowers somewhere, and then it's also just raining, and it's oh, what? Why is this guy on the floor? Because they missed the banana peel. Just like an example. So I feel like something I would suggest is going like a very radical pass on most of the game, and with this lens in mind, like what is the thing that the player should be paying attention to? Something like a good example is the fact that when I get hit, there's almost no feedback. And it should be the opposite. The fact that I got hit should be a huge deal. Because this is a shmup, right? I should avoid getting hit. I should know when I get hit. If it's so obtuse and subtle if I get hit or not, that I completely miss it, I don't even know if I get hit, the entire feedback loop doesn't even work, because I'm just being distracted by some flying cats while some sound effect played, and that sound effect I have to learn that it means that I got hit and so forth. The fact that the health points are a tiny little number in the edge of the screen, not like a bar or anything like this.
Yep.
All these things lead to just like me not caring about getting hit, me not caring about doing anything. Everything just like happens, washes over me. Broadly speaking, this is also why I generally argue against having health point systems in shmups, because that's what they tend to do. They tend to make it so that getting hit, like the mistakes that you do, they kind of like, they don't really matter anymore, and you just kind of like brute force all of the challenges. And for a designer, that also means that you don't have to be so stringent about the challenge that you set up for the player. And I think in a lot of situations that we had here in the shmup is what I felt in the difficulty wavered wildly between super boring and it's like, I'm just standing there in the middle and I don't have to move. I'm not getting attacked at all. I just can stand in a certain spot and do nothing. One setting this game is on. Other setting, screen is full of stuff. Stuff is coming at me from nowhere. I don't even know what hit me. I don't even know. I don't have any control over anything that happens. It's just like chaos of sprites. Just like those two extremes, like boring or impossible, with some stages in between there, but it's just like constantly wavering between those two extremes.
Okay.
And that
Wait, stop there. Okay. So dang it. Okay, so let me collect my thoughts for a second. All right, so because there's a lot of good stuff here, I want to make sure I unpack that. So in relationship to hit points, so I also for the most part, I mean, I could easily set the player hit points to 1, and every time you take a hit, you're gonna be killed, and that, of course, in a shmup, that's very, very much old school. Like there are shmups that do deploy health bars, which I'd rather have a health bar in the game. I don't right now, unfortunately, but it's on the list. As soon as I can program for that or have the engine support that. On the flip side, design wise, right? So when you have exactly 1 hit point, it becomes very, very clear, or maybe a shield and then a hit point. It becomes very clear to the player that when they get hit, that they want to avoid getting hit, right? So on the counter design point, if you do have a hit point system, well, hit points are a resource, and if you can spend a hit point to go through something, like geometry in this particular case, because collision, that's a whole different thing. But maybe you need to cross over a string of enemies, and so you're like, well, I'll take a hit point for that. A point of damage to cross over a string of enemies in order to achieve the thing you want. Maybe it's to get the power up, maybe it's to get to a certain point on the screen, maybe it's to do whatever you need to do, right? So it becomes a resource you can design for. Doesn't necessarily mean it's great in that respect, but it's also like, for instance, when you take a look at the super weapon, a super weapon gives you a certain amount of invulnerability frames, and now when you're used to understanding that you have invulnerability frames, you can now tactically use your super to do things like cross through a boss, go through geometry. And generally, in our particular cases, super is also sort of like a bomb. It cancels all the bullets, and may or may not kill all the enemies depending on how you aim it, because it's part of the tactics of how you effectively use the super, right? So, and then in those spaces, you can design other things, but it makes the system more complex. To Christian's point, right, which is hit point systems in shmups for the most part. Then because you have more to spend, you care less about them, right? And if you care less about taking hits, then why not take some hits, right? You can still get killed ultimately. And I remember, like, part of the goal for this game, like, I could easily, very, very easily take your hit points to 1, make the game very punishing in that respect, and give players the opportunity to do that. And there's something more pure in that for sure, because I'm using these systems that allow for a lot more variance, which gives you a wildly different experience, right? So I think that it's very good feedback when it comes to shmup design, and in particular, the amount of hit points a player has. If you have exactly 1 hit point, the players, and the thing is with shmups, right? And for better or worse, and I went a certain direction with this, trying to be a more welcoming shmup, getting players to be available. When you get killed over and over and over, when you die, it's one thing taking a point of damage, but it's another thing when you have to die and reset. That changes the psychology of a player. And what shmups have done, and I'm not that type of shmup player myself, I don't mind like playing Crimson Clover on arcade mode, and it's brutal. It is crazy brutal, right? And it's also considered a fantastic shmup, but it's fantastic for the upper, for the upper like players, the skill gap players that want to really enjoy that kind of punishing experience coming from the arcade roots, right? So, and what I'd seen is I've done playtesting of our game for a long time over the years of developing it, and for players coming new to the shmup genre, like especially like level 3, like I saw that Christian really enjoyed going through level 3. He's like, oh, the environment has consequence. Like it really focused his lens of what he was doing, and it was really starting to like amp up for him, right? So, and I saw that he enjoyed that, right? Like, and in his own words, he's not the best shmup player of all times, right? Like, he's not casual. He's obviously making shmups and developing and cares deeply about it, which is super cool. But it's interesting to see his player perception, right? So, I guess what I am trying to say here is that I think some of the older systems, and again, it's not like shmups haven't had hit points. Euro shmups do it a lot as well. Like, and there isn't necessarily bad with that. There are shield systems, all kinds of other things, right? But I've also found that on the harder side of things, if you don't have hit points, I'm doing a lot to try to be welcoming for players to still improve their skills, but also not completely get that Crimson Clover arcade quarter eating, like quarter munching experience where it's just like, hey, get good unapologetically. Like, this is what a shmup is. It's really hardcore to do this. As I like to say, it is easier to make a really hard game than it is to make a game that is balanced and becomes better. Now, that's balanced and provides players the opportunity to see that they are getting better as they continue to play the game, right? Because if the games don't have challenge at all, if you don't have a range of here's where I start, and as I'm getting to higher level play, the game still gives me more, right? And more as in more challenge, more opportunity, more content. And there is that aspect of that inside of our game. But you never know if you're going to get players to really engage with your game systems and continue to play. But it's there, and the core design is, in my opinion, is important to. It's sort of like archaeology in that as players continue to dig and they become more comfortable, if you don't continue to reward players with new experiences, then the experience becomes stale, and there's no reason to continue playing, right? So I like the feedback. I appreciate that. If I had global variables for heroic mode, I would definitely put in a scenario where it's like you have less lives, less hit points, right? Like, I could tune and balance that stuff pretty easily in this case, without a crazy amount of effort. Still a lot of effort, but still. Okay. And then on the second point, so comment about the 30 lives, super important. you know, like if you have to, you know, and for 30 lives is more of a Contra thing. So I've seen casual players essentially sit down with the game and almost like they for the most part, they're almost able to play through the whole game, 30 lives plus their 10 continues. So it's, you know, and you get 3 lives per continue. So we're talking about, and in this case, I've seen people fail out playing casual. I've seen streamers play and they're talking, chatting, and playing, and you have different skill gaps for players as well, right? So there, you know, I have seen that, you know, like every time a player gets a game over, that's an opportunity for them to leave the game. And what I really wanted to do is find a place where players could come and see the sites, play through, and if they and you know, they could still fail out. And some of those casual players, they still fail out. But I've seen players play the game 70 hours, and I've seen their skill continue to improve. They start on casual, then they go to normal, they have slightly less, and they, you know, when you hit your continues, you lose your points. There are other things that that gate your content, and there's also high score gated content as well, like different enemy strings, mini bosses, things like that too. So it's really hard. It's very easy to make asshole Mario levels where it's absolutely precise, crazy, like jumping and platforming, you know, and we see this with the Super Mario Maker levels, and they used to be called asshole Mario levels long before Super Mario Maker became an actual product, right? As you get dialed in as a designer, you know how to play. Like you wind up having the blinders. You know, I'm 2,000 hours into this, so it's very easy for me to make stuff that is way too hard, way too overwhelming, way too crazy. And because as a designer, you never really know where the skill level is of the player. You never really know what is going to be boring for them, what is going to be hard, or what's going to encourage them, what's going to lead them on the path. And so it's very tough. And, you know, and arguably, if you're trying to make something that's for everyone, you're not making something for anyone, right? At that point, so it's a hard thing to challenge yourself to do in terms of design. One thing is for sure is that you, as the designer, as the developer, have already spent more time with your game and creating the experiences you've put into it than anyone else probably ever will. And you have to keep that in terms of your lens of perception, in terms of design and what you actually want to convey and communicate in mind, in order to tweak and tune and balance your game in a way that is trying to reach your goals. Food for thought. Okay. Let's keep going. This is good stuff.
You know, when you say like, okay, because I want to deal with those impossible situations, I was going to add a lot of lives and health points on the player so they can get through those impossible stages. But the solution would be actually to make sure that those impossible stages are actually possible, and those boring stages are never actually boring. So like tightening up the spectrum of challenges to something more narrow, more focused, and this will allow you to get, for example, the health points down. You don't need the health points anymore. You can, because you communicate clearly when the player gets hit, because you give them challenge that they can actually see coming, understand what's happening, can react to them. So yeah, so health points, again, going back to the concept of staging, health points, not staged at all, or like lives, not staged at all. Level up system, like what my weapons do, not communicated at all. I guess I could tell by, but also it's so weird. Like some weapons are just bad. I don't want them. Like this weird drawing lines on the screen that was just like really stupid. And so I,
which just for so he's talking about the weapon in which it's the auto weapon that gives you essentially a laser stasis field. His perception is it's bad. He doesn't want to use it. It's not good. And then on the other side, I've had players that look at them and they go, "Whoa, I've never seen this in a shmup." And now they want to try to like draw by where they're flying these laser fields to protect themselves from enemies coming in that space, you know, or to get extra damage and put it on top. So again, it's interesting to see just the wide spectrum of players and reactions. That is one of the reasons why we have a weapon dump button, which is still confusing, very tough thing to convey. I'm still working on it. But yeah, so just food for thought. Appreciate that.
But then I would pick up something. I would even notice if I picked up something and it would disappear again. So it was like I just like really have difficulties parsing the screen, understanding what is happening.
So parts in the screen is what's happening. So that could mean that the power up icons, right? Like that they are not as easy to see. Now, granted, there are some things with layering of terms of effects. There are sometimes, especially if you get monster trophies, there's a lot of visual noise in the game. It's also a shmup, right? Like shmups are one of the things that makes them really enjoyable is the fact that there's a lot of stuff going on. Now, very easy to get snowballed and to keep, like, that's one of the side effects of shmupping, right? Is that if the player isn't keeping track of, isn't on top of their routes in terms of killing enemies, in terms of using their weaponry, in terms of switching back and forth, the game gets more and more out of control because the enemies start to stack up, right? Now, bomb buttons and supers are a good use for that. And when you see that you're starting to lose control of where things are in the world in terms of shmups, in terms of that screen and screen space, this gives you a way of recovering, right? Super important, but that means you have to build the muscle memory and the communication. Is my super weapon online? Do I have one? And there's a lot going on in the game, so it's often like, again, 4 buttons, and one of them now is dedicated to downgrading your weapons, right? Which is kind of special, and that in terms of a special scenario, and that then creates more complexity. More complexity means more confusion, and it kind of layers on top of itself. So food for thought too. Appreciate it. This is great.
Yeah, so screen readability, staging, and explaining the mechanics. Why do I want to power down? Why is that there a dedicated button to powering down? Generally, some...
I think what I need to think about this a little bit. So because it is the newest feature that we put into the game, and it's the rawest feature in terms of powering down, it's not taught right now. Also, right, like in the difficulty select, I made the design choice to give you the opportunity to push the button at least and see that something's happening. So it wasn't a dead button, but it doesn't give you a power down power down icon and all of that. So it also is a level of confusion that goes with that. So I got to think about that. But also with the tutorial, I mean, the tutorial's already long. There's a lot of stuff going on. The game has a lot, maybe a little too much, maybe a little too much kitchen sink. And I have been hesitant because I also want to do playtesting and see how players are responding to it. Seeing his feedback, super helpful here, right? And that means I would have to dedicate some more time into tutorial trying to teach another thing that, is maybe I should. Maybe it's another minute or so, and it may be worth it. Or it's one of those things where you figure it out over time, or it's just confusing to the point where, like you're like, I don't understand it. I'm not sure. I got to think about this a little bit, but I can take a note. Let's see here. Power down feature teach in the tutorial. I also maybe could think about doing like a cheat sheet graphic or a cheat sheet like either in the game, out of the game type of thing, to help with trying to explain these things, because it's a lot. And you can already see, right, as he came to the game, even playing the tutorial, most of the stuff didn't stick. It doesn't stick for most players. And the goal of the tutorial, at least for the first time around, if you're even a tutorial person, because a lot of people are like, oh, shmups, I don't need a tutorial, whatever, right? Like, and they'll kind of figure it out over time. So the goal of the tutorial as a designer is trying to convey at least like some of the core concepts. There are power-ups, there are different weapons, here's your hitbox, there's a super, right? And here's kind of how the weapon system works, right? Like that core piece of the game. And knowing that until players do, and they get used to doing, because there's a lot of information you're taking in just by playing the game, I'm just trying to convey an overall sense of what to maybe expect in the game. And it's super cool that Christian came back again to the tutorial to better try to understand what was going on, because now that he spent his 30 minutes with the game type of thing, and it's still not completely hitting all the points of conveyance, so that there's something to work on there. But yeah, it's an interesting thing there when you're trying to teach things like this. So food for thought.
Some visual stuff that I noticed: big sprites, impressive sprites. There's some really cool bosses that there were, like the trees stuff was cool. The groin boss, I guess, it was fun. There's good stuff
The
happening.
groin
Like,
boss.
there's good different like as well. Like one was like in this Red Sea, then in the forest, and like this different cavern systems that were R-type. Like good variety. Something that I noticed, something that consistently is difficult for me, or I find worth addressing, is get rid of this. I already talked about big sprites, very little animation frames, which feels that doesn't feel like these are actual objects, like living things. It feels like there's a PNG moving around on the screen. It's just like a static PNG moving around the screen. This applies, for example, just a simple example for this. The player sprite. Look at the player sprite. There's like this wings flapping. I can see it being jittery because there's very few animation frames for those wings. And this is animation that you look at all the time in the game. Like the entire game, you see this animation all the time. So I would expect this kind of animation, especially this animation that you see all the time, to be really fluid, to have like a lot of animation frames, so it feels organic, so it's nice to look at. But I always see like this weird jittery PNG moving up and down. It doesn't even seem like it's hand animated. It seems like you're just squashing a wing. But it's still low frame rate. Like the movement is really nice and smooth, right? But the wing animation is jerky. And this also applies to a lot of the enemies in the game, like big animation sprite, but jerky movement. Like the actual sprite itself has jerky movement. And I know this is difficult to pull off because big sprites, if you want to have a lot of animation frames, you have to redraw them. So that means like a lot of effort to redraw them. But that's generally like a difficult challenge to deal with in when you're going high res with the sprites. That you have to pay more for the animation, and so the animation, you end up cutting corners on animation, and that makes everything look like big PNGs are moving on the screen, which I got a lot in this game. Something that might help is there's like these tools, animation tools, where I think you might have used it here, right? I'm not sure, where you can set up a high resolution static image and get like a skeleton underneath and animate it like this. Can help, although these can also have like some drawbacks. So that's something that definitely pop out to me. Another visual problem that I had a lot of times is big sprite disappears without any particles or any kind of things. So like let me show you. Using my paint. So if I have, let's say I have a giant foot of a monster with some claws. These are his fingers. I have a
Superfoot claws.
I don't know. I think we had a foot in the game. I'm not sure. It's not referring to any specific in your game, right? But here we have a giant foot.
Oh, you did fight a
and
giant foot.
I blow this foot up, right? What did I expect? Because what happens now is what it feels like. It's something like this. It feels like quite often what I get in this game is, oh man, why does it this? Give me just like a rectangle. I cannot get a fill. I'm sorry. I have not used paint that often. Why familiar with? Like again, like this foot feel really unreal, like it didn't exist in the first place, like it was right, and turns into just disappears into non-existence and turns into really tiny objects that have no relationship to what the foot is, right? So that makes the foot feel really unreal, like it didn't exist in the first.
So I think what he's referring to, he made a comment when he was playing through. So when we have the treant demons and they come in with their big branch arms, So when they explode, and there's some particles, but they're not so that they're not the connection to the explosion of the arm itself. It doesn't cohesively make as much sense. I think there's a couple of big explosions and maybe some wood particles. On the flip side, with like the Dreadmusk and a few other things, like the comment wasn't there because the Dreadmusk does the thing where it kind of like does this like pixelated deformation, disintegration kind of flavor. So, but I think that's what he's getting at. So I took a note about that. But yeah, let's finish this off.
Place, like it was just again like this moving PNG thing, right? What I would expect if there was like a giant monster foot and I blow it up, I would expect whatever remains of the foot to be bigger than whatever was there, because the foot is like everything is in place. But when you blow it apart, you know, all the parts occupy a bigger space than what the foot was, right? So what I would expect is to, you know, like bones to fly out in all directions, you know, just like giant explosions, maybe giant blood coming out of all directions, you know. It needs to be like this spectacle that I would call it, that justifies, that respects the fact that whatever you've shown had a reality that you kind of like are emphasizing by making it disappear in a way that makes sense, right? So whenever something disappears, I want to see where it went. I think I talked about this in the tutorial. So when I have like a little ship, right? When I have like a little explosion, when I have like a ship that is this size, you know, like whatever, like a UFO with some landing legs, right? When that explodes, the explosion can't be like this small. That's not the right explosion for the ship. It needs to be bigger than the ship, because the ship is small and then it explodes it goes out into space. And quite often I've seen enemies that would just like blink out of existence. There would be some effect, but effect would be just like too subdued. This applies also in reverse. Whenever something appears, I need to see where it's coming from. So I think when you're shooting, sometimes you have like those rockets coming out, and basically there's a portal and something happens, but the rockets basically pop into existence. And again, that's just like makes them feel fake. That just feels like you just copy and paste some PNGs into existence. What I want to see when I see a rocket come into existence is I want to see, maybe, I don't know, maybe it comes out of a hole and you can see it emerging out of the hole, or maybe there would be like, you know, like a launch effect that is like big and you can see like the rocket came out of the silo or something, you know. I want to have a justification for where the stuff came from. So whenever things come in on the stage and disappear from the stage, you want to pay. That's definitely my philosophy. I want to make sure that I visually explain why it appeared and where it went when it disappears. To pay homage, to kind of like respect the fact that these objects are physical and real, to create the illusion of those objects being real. So these are generally like visual stuff that bug me a lot. Low frame animations and things popping out of existence or popping into existence. Right, and then generally speaking about the broad game, I felt it was quite long. It was quite a long experience.
You got to a halfway point.
And again, it was kind of wavering between not challenging me enough and challenging way too much in a way that felt chaotic, out of control, not in a way that felt like, oh, I need to go again and try it again, you know. It just, it didn't feel focused. And I would want to see the game be more focused, so it's more like it never leaves me hanging, but it also never goes off the rails.
Yeah, so it's interesting feedback. I can appreciate it. You know, I mean, it's also feedback from 30 minutes of gameplay, so it's not to be dismissed, right? Because it's valid for sure. You know, it comes back to the hit point discussion, right? I mean, the game, the design of the game, or of most games, right, is that you essentially have like, you have essentially a curve, right? If we think about a difficulty curve here, I have this, you have basically, you typically, and I think Mark actually did something similar to this. So like, if this is the easy side, little E here, that's the worst E ever. Let's see here. Bloop, bloop. What is it? Is it 1? Yeah. So if you have the easy side here, right, and then you have the hard side here, a lot of times what games are going to do, if this is a curve, they will do this, right? And generally every level is building on hopefully some kind of skill set that the player is learning, right? And so here in the first level, and this is very common. Marcus said this from Electric Underground a lot as well. Dodonpachi stage 1 is boring because it wasn't as engaging enough. Boring for him at his skill level, and so as he continued to do his not his loops, but his playthroughs to get better, right? It just became a chore to do stage 1 because there was no challenge in it, right? And that's absolutely a valid point to be. And look, the latest re-release has done away with stage 1 in that respect. So super important, right? I think though that part of the challenge you have is you're trying to introduce the player, like new weapons, new enemy types, right? Like new concepts, right? C for concepts. And as you're like stage 1, you're like, all right, cool. Here's all the new package of new things you've learned. Now in stage 2, let's take all these things you've learned and still give you new things, right? And then maybe mix them together. And then stage 3, same thing. Stage 4, and kind of our game is 1 through 4. You get a lot of this kind of layering approach, which also means that like stage 1 is less engaging. Now, this is also coming from Christian, who didn't get any monster trophies, is getting ranked C's and D's, right? And he's still trying to learn the game, and he's doing like game development, and he's trying to provide constructive criticism, all very good stuff, right? And it's important to think about these things and to understand where he's at. So when he's asking for, he's like, oh, it's way too easy. And he mentioned in level 2, we had the boss pattern, right? Which was just one of these guys. Good feedback, right? Where you can essentially have these safe spots where, for one of the boss patterns, you don't have to move. There's no other there's no other secondary attacks, nothing to keep you moving. It is a segment of the overall boss, and we're teaching kind of an attack pattern with that and layering things up. So it's good feedback. But the point here is that as you're trying to like design and tune some of these things, what is super easy for one person or not engaging is extra hard for another person. And our game is built at least with the monster trophy system. So where as you get better at even in level 1, and granted, level 1 never goes off the rails, like for the most part. You're learning a bunch of new stuff for the first time. And he took some damage and got hit a little bit, which is good. Not very punishing, but also like level 1 is on the scale of difficulty. As he gets better, he would also be able to restart level 1, get more of those monster trophies. And as he gets more monster trophies, he's getting more enemy waves, and that kind of layers up. It gets more difficult. Now, for me, I can close my eyes and play all level 1 perfectly. Like, I don't have to pre-route too often, right? Like I don't need to have a lot of rote memorization. And where I'm playing is an entirely different thing from when someone starts the game and plays, right? So, I've had friends that are also pretty good at shmups and high dexterity games. And it's taken them a long time as in like it's taken them 10 hours to get an S+ tier rank on level 1. And so there's some engagement there. But it's an interesting thing that you're trying to balance as a designer, right? And it's food for thought. So it's good that we're thinking about it. And kind of how these things go together. Let's see, I can just go to that. I don't know if, I think the thing is what I need more play testing, and then I'm going to go back and watch Christian's playing a little bit more, like kind of watch him play through the levels a few more times, right? Like especially level 4, like obviously it overstayed its welcome in terms of the final boss. There's some things there, like there's some stuff you can tune and tweak, but you need to have people play the game and watch to see how they're playing. But you also have to understand where people are at with their skill levels, right? Because feedback is super valuable the first time, the first impressions, because, you know, and this is why a lot of in game development, your first levels are generally going to be your most engaging, most polished levels, because where everyone starts. It's always guaranteed that everyone starts at the beginning. As you play through games, and we've all done this, the later levels, the boss battles, all that stuff gets, generally speaking, it gets a lot less attention. Now, if you're lucky, you've got a QA team, you've got playtesting, you got some other things, and people that want to play through your game. But in general, vast majority of people don't finish games. Shorter games generally can help increase that, but a lot of people, you know, they're, you know, like a Gradius 5 level 1 hour shmup is already a huge commitment. And even if you can go through and see everything, you know, keeping people engaged for that long period, it's a whole other thing, right? In terms of like how much focus they have, how much attention they have, how much you ask for them, right? In terms of that time and play session, you know, and then how you try to tune in some balanced game for that. So all food for thought. I'm going to think more on it a little bit more. I want to hear exactly more what Christian is saying, and let's go back to it.
Generally, I mean, maybe I played it wrong. I probably played it wrong. I'm pretty sure I played it wrong.
No wrong. There's just plain.
Like some of the weapons, I didn't use the heavy weapon because I didn't feel like it didn't look powerful to me. It didn't feel like it was useful. It was very limited in distance.
I'd love to see him go into the weapon room and see that.
So it felt like there was a very big downside to using the bottom weapon, I think. And I didn't see any big upside. It didn't look powerful, and I didn't seem to do a lot of damage with it. So I was like, why bother? I'm just going to.
So in particular, he gave that comment on the bottom laser short range. It's kind of like a laser shot, short range weapon. Didn't look powerful enough, and it could be that. Look, I mean, you know, like I've one of the things that we've done with balancing the game is every bottom weapon set is 10 times more powerful than the top weapon set, but you have to, you know, part of the core game loop is when you are facing enemies that have more hit points, using the bottom weapon or bosses, using the bottom weapon is going to generally give you 10 times more effectiveness than the top weapon. But for that to make sense to a player, the player actually has to play the game enough and start to understand, like, that enemy has a lot of hit points. That enemy has no hit points. It's a popcorn enemy. And that only comes with experience, right? So it's been a really interesting thing. I've seen some people immediately switch back and forth between weapons because they can feel it and they kind of sense it. A lot of people, they you know, for in Christian's point here as well, right? Like the weapon set didn't feel interesting enough. There's also so many weapons and it changes so quickly if you're not sticking on a weapon set that it makes it hard to even suss out what the most effectiveness is for weapons and weapon types to even find the things you want, right? And every weapon set is an opportunity to learn something new. And that means learning something new is also more fatiguing on the player's time because you're dedicating brain space to understanding the visual mapping of the weapons, how much damage they're doing, whether they're effective, whether you like them, whether they feel enjoyable or interesting, and let alone even being able to switch. And what I found is that with playtesting, a lot of players coming to shmups, they will find the button and they'll hold that button down, and then they will then sometimes experiment. But look, shmups are like controller gripping, direct flow state games. They could demand a lot from your attention. When we were talking about it earlier, you have your microvision around your player. The more things that happen, the more likely that you're in danger because of the amount of bullets around the player, the enemies, and things like that. The more you have to micro through in between bullets to try to save yourself. And then you have the macro vision, which is looking at the bigger picture. And you kind of only, you know, like getting with staging, you only have these kind of two modes of vision. And then there's a skill set with like not really looking at your weak spot for your your vulnerability spot for your ship and being able to look out a little bit further. So it's kind of, you kind of have like this focus of like what you can spend your attention and focus time on, right? And trying to teach all these things. And there's a very good reason why like some of the best shmups like DrBossKey, Ketsui, they don't have crazy weapon systems. Yes, they have weapon variants, but you don't really have to think about the weapons after you're like, oh, spread shot, focus shot. Maybe you have a lock on, let go, shoot all the things, right? And because it's boiled down, and this is great, like it's simple isn't necessarily bad, right? But reducing complexity to the core experience, these games do so well that, and they're done to death. They're fantastic. Danmaku is fantastic, but they're done to a point where when you introduce something different, it also demands a lot from the player, and that's not necessarily good or bad. It's different, right? And so you could argue it both ways. Like, it can be bad because everything that you want the player to learn, or to do, or to digest, to understand how to use effectively in their toolkit, right? Is a layer of complexity, and complexity for the sake of complexity isn't necessarily fun. Can't. On the flip side, though, complexity can give you more of a different flow. Like at the core game loop, when the game is all rolling and you're really jamming, alternating between a spread rapid fire shot and a bottom shot, and then having a weapon set change, because you have that kind of peak performance curve where you're picking up every weapon, you're in the situation, you're not dying, and how you decide to flow with the game in that particular state then becomes kind of that core experience, right? For me, again, I was kind of going against I was challenging my own tropes as a designer to say, I want higher health enemies, but I want a way to deal with higher health enemies, and that becomes your bottom weapon. I really loved a lot of Einhander. I love short range weapons. I love big spread shots, giant lasers. So, and I wanted that core loop to be switching for you as another stimuli, you the player, to recognize the weapon set and then to switch, because when the weapon set changes to like something completely different, like it's short range with all the octa tentacles, your play style has to change now to use that weapon set effectively. If you have enemies coming from behind you, something in your weapon set has a reverse shot to it. Now you have to think on your toes to engage with the content in that respect. Doesn't mean it's better or worse. It could be both. It depends. But there's something really to be said for boiling it down, and why some of the great games have done that. Anyways, food for thought. I love where we're going with this. Let me go back to it.
Use the main weapon all the time. The bomb stuff, I didn't seem to be able to trigger that often, and generally I was confused about which button was DOS all the time. So, I didn't have it memorized that, this button will trigger the bomb. And I wasn't using that bomb that often anyway, so I didn't have enough opportunities to acquire this knowledge. I would suggest being more generous with the bomb. You always want to make sure that the player always has the opportunity to do a bomb and doesn't have to really do a lot of saving up for the bomb. I think if the player always has the bomb, and always can trigger the bomb, and the bomb recharges pretty fairly quickly, then using the bomb quite often becomes like a skill. And if the player doesn't want to use the bomb, then don't let them use the bomb. Like that's bad for them, and they're doing it harder for themselves, right?
Super interesting, right? Because dedicated button, the voice line is like the upper left corner, you have a big meter. It turns bright and green. I'm gonna actually. That reminds me. Super meter. I think with the next version of the engine, I might have it already. Update meter to have flashing bits when ready. Also. Around the player, the vulnerability spot, there's another graphic there that shows you that your super meter's online, but this is all subtle conveyance. The other side of it is there are super pickups, right? Everything you kill in the world gives you power-ups for your super, but and the game is designed to use super a lot. Like you have it, like you have the ability to bomb a super. Now, when you die, you do lose your super, your bomb in this, is what he's referring to. But it's a little bit different in our case. We have for all the intents and purposes, we'll just call it the super. But his perception is that there wasn't enough But I also know the game is tuned to give you a lot of super opportunities. You can probably super every 3 to 4 screens, and that's not if that's even not counting if you got essentially the super power-ups that happen, of course, and the secrets and whatnot that kind of come from producing more super power-ups. So it doesn't mean that we can't improve the conveyance of it. And maybe there's something to be said for changing the mechanism there. But it's interesting that his perception is that there's not enough super available to be used. But it also is an auto charge. You have to kill enemies for your super, or pick up a super power up. So I think he got it a little bit more, starting to see that the Loki strings were giving you power ups. It's a little bit different in our game. Like a lot of times, like old classic shmups are like, kill a string of enemies, they'll poop out a power up. In this case, we had dedicated enemies, and they're not really enemies in this case. They're helpers, so you can run into them as well. So a little subtlety for us. But that also kind of feeds this perception. So it's very helpful. Good to know. And I'll do some thinking on that.
Bump was fun when I used it. It felt powerful for sure. So you maybe want to give the player more opportunities to be able to use the ability. Yeah, and then power down, I still don't understand. I didn't have enough information from the tutorial and from the screen to understand what the power down is doing. Yeah. Scoring didn't feel important to me, but maybe for some people it does. But yeah, I'm the wrong person to ask that.
And he's not alone. Like a lot of people.
Yeah, and like
there are a lot of shmup players that just it's really interesting, the psychology, right? I've grown up playing arcade games. I've set, my own personal bests and on leaderboards, and back in the day, like it was a rite of passage, right? To have, the whole reason why my initials are DOC, it's for my assumed doctorate in video games. It's silly because it doesn't exist. It's not a thing, right? I shortened it to Doc because I didn't want my normal initials, and it was easy to see when I put in my initials into the high score ranking screens, and then eventually that became part of when I created the DrBossKey character in the streaming profile. It's one of the reasons why DrBossKey, but Doctor is there is because of that old school nod to leaderboards. Now, I love, I think the thing is with shmup players, or with players in general, right? When we have scoring systems inherently mean math. Like, even if it's just the numbers go up, how do I make the numbers go up faster? What are the complexities? It has an inherent, even if it's just shoot the guy, get the points. A lot of players don't want to do that. They don't want to engage with it, and Christian shows it as well. I'm glad it's in the game for people, for myself and for kind of the old, it's also an old school gaming trope, right? Like, your high score is an acknowledgement of your skill. It's also another side effect, right? Like if you're getting very low scores, what's that say about you as a player? Or it means competition too. I will never hit the highest score in the world because I'm never going to be that good, or I don't care to get good enough at the game for that, right? It's an interesting psychology, and the best thing about shmups is that they bring us back from these arcade roots. They bring us back to like some of these old school tropes. It's so powerful that if you saw when he played in the tutorial, we talked about the monster trophy system. It didn't quite make sense to him. I'm trying hard to convey what that is. It's a complex system. And I'm not sure what to do to improve that. But right after that, I talk about the scoring system, and his reaction to scoring was, don't care. He didn't care so much that the acknowledgement of the information I was trying to teach about it with the chain combos and then the points and the super, like it kind of really created this disjointed experience for him. It's not a solve here. It's just a really interesting perception. And the best part about people that take the time to play games and to share their experience is that we get to try to suss out clues and ideas how to innovate and change and maybe update systems to make them more welcome to, for players, or to acknowledge whether they still have a presence or a number of other things. So food for thought.
This idea of staging and communication and so forth, this also applies to the tutorial. Like the tutorial should be consistent, like at the beginning it tells you to shoot down the message boxes, but later on you don't have to shoot down the message boxes. When the message boxes talk about something, point to the thing that it's talking about somehow.
You know what? I just solved a thing here. Power down to tutorial. So when I first designed the tutorial, one of the first things I was trying to teach in the tutorial back then, I got an issue here. I gotta go here in just a minute or two. Is I was trying to teach movement, and I don't need to teach that anymore because you learn movement in the. I designed that tutorial bit before we even had the difficulty selection screen, right? So I can easily complete conveyance there. Tutorial, remove fly here message, and instead transition to camera movement, on dialog box destruction. Yeah, okay. Destruction. Perfect. Again, I've been doing it with the game almost 2 years at this point. So where we started and where we ended, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't necessarily make sense. That's why the lens of a new player, is super, super important. Okay. Good. Also, I'll let me, because it's good feedback. So tutorial, consider teaching. I don't know if I'm gonna rip apart the tutorial to change the super. I think he learned super fine, but it was about how to fill the super meter. And just because you get feedback doesn't mean you have to act on it, right? So I don't know if I'd reorder the tutorial anymore in that space. I don't know. I'll put it on consideration. Consider teaching super meter filling. Maybe not teaching it. Well, the things I'm teaching the bits, right? From killing enemies. I don't know. I'll keep that in the back of my mind. So, all right. Keep going.
Or maybe display it again somehow, so you always know what the message box is referring to, and like the humor is. I think when you're doing a tutorial, adding humor to that, especially if it's if it takes a lot of sentences to do the joke. I think it can be distracting. It can be like, that's not the important part. The important part is communicating information, right? Again, staging stuff. So humor at this point can be kind of distracting in the sense that now I start questioning everything that they're saying. Like, is this other stuff they told also a joke? Which part is a joke? Which part is the information I'm supposed to process?
Interesting. Very interesting. So, food for thought. I mean, I never really thought of it from that perspective. Part of when we designed the tutorial is that we have a cutscene, an intro cut. It's optional. We're going to, in the next build, it's going to be tacked on to the end of the tutorial level. So, and that cutscene didn't exist up until, it didn't do a final shipping up until like the last version. So a few weeks ago, we I think about a month ago, it doesn't matter. About a month ago, we released the tutorial or the cutscene. In the game, currently, and who knows, maybe this could change, but there are no other character moments during the game. And so to provide some context of the character moments in the game and who these people are and why they exist and all that, I am hugely not into a lot of storytelling when it comes to my games. Like I like a lot of gameplay first. I don't want, love Kojima-san, and Metal Gear is one of the Metal Gear Solid's one. Metal Gear series is great, but Metal Gear Solid is is a fantastic game. Breaks so many conventions, super creative. One of the things that Kojima-san does is he wants to tell stories, and so his games come with a lot of like, put the controller down, 15 minutes later, get to play again, right? And that's not me, and also not that my writing is the best. Writing in general is also generally subpar when it comes to games. Voice acting, like it's all a craft, right? It's multidiscipline, and it's tough. So how we got to providing a little bit more context of who these people are, it kind of came through in the tutorial. I could strip it out. Some of it's meant to be, cheeky, corny. it's not supposed to go on too long, but it's also the opportunity to try to give these characters a reason in the player's mind and a reason to connect to them. So good feedback that humor could distract from the thing you're trying to teach. And it's interesting because now that we have the cutscene for the game, again, one of the only places you have really good, where you have the opportunity for players, good is questionable, where you have opportunities for the players to connect to the characters, is there now. So I can still have them convey and give information to you, but I could do a rinse and wash of this now where I just boil it down with less distraction. I could be overthinking it, but it's food for thought. Let's see here. Tutorial, revise humor aspects, ? All right, here we go.
So yeah, I would maybe have two characters. One is cracking the jokes and the other one is actually doing the real information. It's weird that also there's different characters that you talk to. I later understood that one of the characters was the cat that you have to shoot down, but I didn't understand it at the time. Mm-hmm. And yeah, these are generally my impressions. The upside is that it is definitely a game of bombast, of like a lot of stuff happening, and that's definitely a strength. It has like this kind of like B-movie feel to it. It does feel a lot like what is the vampire game? The Vampire Survivors? Is it Vampire Survivor?
Really?
Let me look it up. It has that kind of vibe. Yeah, Vampire Survivors. It has that kind of vibe. But see, in Vampire Survivors, that might be a nice comparison because it's kind of also a little bit trashy, It's a little bit all over the place, chaotic stuff happening, a little bit, weird things on the screen all the time, weird monsters and this kind of like B-movie atmosphere, which it's fun. It's fun to have like this campy kind of stuff. But with, for example, in Vampire Survivors, something that's very important, like whenever you get like pick up something or there's like a level up, everything stops and there's like focus on the chest opens up, there's nice music playing that to emphasize, to stage this upgrade, to be like, yes, you're getting something great now. It takes the time to stop everything around you and focus on the thing that's important right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that you should stop and have a chest opening in this game, not necessarily.
Not going to happen.
But I think it's important to focus on the things that are vital to the game, that the player should know about. Again, this idea of staging, something I would maybe convey. Right.
Not sure where to go with that, other than, it comes in the context of tutorial and, trying to draw emphasis to the things that that you're learning to control and do. I'll food for thought. I'll think about that.
Yeah, a lot of the times it felt a little bit like Vampire Survivors in the sense that it is all over the place. It was trashy, a little bit campy, but outrageous things are happening all the time, right? Mm-hmm. and maybe there's a certain joy in this visual overload, right? Where it's like the legs are coming in and stuff like that. That's fun. Mm-hmm. I would suggest to kind of like end this review, this feedback round. Mm-hmm. I would suggest leaning even more into it, like just even more ridiculous stuff, just like outrageous stuff. I don't know, like if there's like this leg and you're shooting at the groin or something, let the groin fall down and maybe there's something funny underneath, like a little cucumber or something. I don't know, like a glass of cucumbers. It just looks ridiculous stuff, funny stuff.
It is pretty ridiculous.
More in direction of parodious.
Yep. I knew this is what he's channeling.
Maybe not quite as, cartoony. But
parodious is amazing.
Like ridiculous and funny stuff all the time. I think that would really help the game. That would really make it, like, instead of cracking jokes here in the tutorial, I make the jokes in the game, Make something weird happen. You shoot at a statue, the head opens up and the little crab comes out. I don't know, just like zany stuff, like unexpected stuff. Make people surprise people with the game, because I think it already does that almost really good. Like the tree was amazing and the statues were a bit random, but it was certainly an unexpected, right? Mm-hmm. And I think if you lean more into that aspect, I think that game.
Yeah,
would
welcome
really,
to my imagination.
deliver.
That's awesome. All right.
Yeah, these are my impressions. I'm sorry if some of the stuff might have sounded a bit harsh.
Not a problem at all. Perfect.
I think it's useful. Like harsh critique can be useful, kind of, because I'm not holding back. I'm just like, these are my
there's
impressions
no reason to.
right now.
Mm-hmm. So I started in the game industry in 1999. Started in QA. So I came in very like, this is how you do controls. This is what you care about. These are how you deal with systems. I had all these preconceptions, and I had a tremendous amount of humility too. I thought that everyone I met was going to be, because they were already in the game industry, doing it at the level I perceived that they'd be doing it at. And it turns out we're all human. We're all people. And, when I started at LucasArts back in the day, there were a lot of people that were really into Star Wars, and they kind of liked video games, but they were really into Star Wars. I had level designers that really were into architecture, and they kind of like video games. And we had this weird mishmash of experiences and ideas, and I wanted to always make the very best games possible. And it was wonderful, and I learned so much, and I'm very grateful, but it really opened my eyes, right? And years later, I joined the Factor 5 guys, and these guys are amazing guys. They were making games when I was dreaming about making games. Turrican series, and their the Rogue series, of course. And I met them because I went to work at LucasArts, right? And one of the things I love about them is a lot of them there were some from Frankfurt, all over Germany, Frankfurt, a lot of Cologne. Cologne was where a big part of the office was. And in 96, they came over. And in 99, I started. So their German was much more a thick accent, but they cared so deeply about trying to make the best games possible. And I was very lucky to work with them. I got to work with them on some level design aspects for multiplayer and what that meant for and since we've done tons of stuff together. But the thing that's really cool is, while I'm American, I don't have a lot of patience for being politically correct, trying to say things in a very nice, polite way, not very Japanese society for me. Like when you do business with Japanese, they won't tell you what they're saying. You won't know. You'll be in a meeting talking about something like a game or a project, and you won't truly know what they think until the meeting is done, and then it's written up and then sent to you, or they may have a communicator that communicates with you, because it's very polite. It's a way of being, and it's partially, culture change, society change as well. But now the reason why I talk about the Factor 5 guys is because they're German, native German, and they've since been more Americanized. And I got to go here in just a minute for dinner. But there isn't the same kind of filter when it comes to Germans, and I'm always very close. And Christian reminds me of that. I'm always very close to realizing there's a lot of German in me as well, because I would rather have a hard conversation. I'd rather have a knee-jerk reaction with, this is just total fucking shit, blah, 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 la, 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 right? I realize that it can be disrespectful to people, and you shouldn't be this way for everyone. You should know who you're interacting with, but I appreciate the value of trying to have a core, strong, constructive feeling, and argument and discussion, because that passion lets us lift each other up. And if you're afraid of having those conversations and you need it spoon fed to you, and it's okay. It's a bit derogative in the way I'm saying it, but if you need it presented to you in a way that removes some of that passion of communication, not only does it get lost in translation to some degree, but then I think you're doing yourself a disservice. And at the end of the day, if you're going to spend time trying to create, look, this is a couple thousand hours of my life. Developing a thick skin, and even though it's my baby, and trying not to be defensive and trying to interpret the information and to appreciate the time that people are putting into the game and to craft something more, right? I'm not just doing this to try to get rich quick. Never going to be a thing here, right? I'm not doing this for notoriety or fame. I do this because I love the genre, and I got tired of waiting for people to give me a proper director's hat, animation, art, imagination, level design, all these things that you can do as an indie developer these days, which is why I'm here. So, Christian, I very much appreciate the feedback. I appreciate the considerations. I'm looking forward to us having more conversations about where we're at. I've got a list of things I'm going to work on, and I really do appreciate the time. This is an hour, about an hour and 35 minutes of your life, and it's not lost on me. So thank you.
Yeah, I wish you good luck with this project. Let me know how it progresses. If you have a new version, I would gladly play it again.
Yeah.
And just like out of curiosity, how does that power-up system work? What was the idea here? Because I'm still confused about this, and I'm kind of curious to know what this works.
Yeah, so the power-up system, I kind of mentioned it here, but just because it's easier to see at the end, is that you have 19 weapon sets, and a weapon set is your mid, top, and auto weapon. So it's technically your top. We're gonna restructure the language a little bit, but it's basically your top weapon, your bottom weapon, and your auto weapon. And every time you, and I think it's more about the power down aspect of this, but every time you get a power up or a specific weapon plate, you increase your weapon set to the next level. So 19 total. And when you spawn a power downer, it lets you revert your weapon set to the previous weapon set up to 19 times per level. So then you can do what I designed for, collect all the power ups and get all the score. But if you really want to stay with a certain weapon, or you want to select a type of weapon set, and we'd be better if I could convey this in a different way, but it gives you the opportunity now to do that. And clearly I could probably, I've taken some things away with teaching the tutorial bits of this and whatnot, but that's the gist of it. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was all my stuff so far. I hope this helps.
Very much
I
so.
hope you're not too demoralized by this. I'm sorry. Feedback is always difficult. Taking feedback is difficult. Yeah. All right. So that's it.
Okay. That was super, super, super awesome. If you made it this far, I'm going to post this video. This is really constructive, super helpful. Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone that's been involved. Thank you for playtesting the game. The game is doing well. There are people who are playing the game that are really enjoying it. And that is just, it's humbling. And frankly, it wouldn't be what it is without you. And until next time, we'll see everyone soon. Bye.